Hi, I'm Chris Stirewalt, and it's time for Power Play. So what about a senator, brand new freshman senator, who gets elected into Congress for the first time and says that he wants to make Washington and politics humble? How about that? Doesn't sound very likely. But Ben Sasse thinks that he's the man who can do it. You met Senator Sasse when he was hoping to get the Republican nomination out in Nebraska. Not only did he win it, he won every county in the state in the general election with a remarkable kind of victory. Not bad for a guy with a broken down Winnebago. Welcome.
Thanks a lot. Good to be with you.
Okay, so you
never rode the Winnebago.
I never had the experience. I left that to other more intrepid individuals. But here's the thing. When you talk about, as you took the oath and as you talk about this, you're talking about, I think it's very telling, your first issue that you put forward, term limits. That you come out and you say, I want to do term limits. Now, you may be a former university president, you may be a think tank kind of person, you may be a big brain wonk person, but you know that that's an issue that for Washington, nobody wants to talk about that, nobody wants to do that. What's your message? What are you trying to say?
You know, we lived on a bus for 400 days. We did about 1,000 public events. And I love this country deeply. I think we have a moral obligation to leave a great and free and opportunity-filled place to our kids. But loving America doesn't mean you think Washington has all the answers. And we need to get better at telling the story again about a meaning of America that's a lot bigger than just this place. And when you talk to people across our 93 counties, or you're hunting with my cousins, or you're talking to people after church or at the market, they are really skeptical that Washington can fix all of our problems, but they wish we'd tackle the most important things. We ought to set an agenda and talk about the biggest issues, but limit ourselves. Politicians don't know everything. Let's talk about fewer things, but the biggest things more urgently.
So why term limits? You're doing this with David Vitter from Louisiana.
Right.
Why is that your first thing?
It's a promise I made to voters in Nebraska on the trail. I wasn't looking for a job.
They do love it. Voters do love it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't think that people in this city know so much more than everybody else about what it means to defend freedom. People who are trying to pay the bills by creating a new company and farming and ranching and raising their kids, that's the heart and meaning of America. And the way Tom Coburn used to say it a lot was, he said, I think I know 3,000 people in Oklahoma who'd be every bit as good at this job as I am, and we ought to rotate them through here more often and have people who work here go back home and people from home come here for a time.
Okay, so the metric every year, and this, by the way, was a great outrage that I always had when I covered legislature, state or federal legislature, is the scorecard at the end of the year. How many bills did they pass? Did they do this many bills? Because you're supposed to look busy. You know the old joke, the end is near, look busy. So the effort that's happening right now in the United States Senate is to look busy, to do stuff. Now, Keystone XL, something very that got a lot of attention in your race,
sure,
in your state, because it goes through there. But that's the first issue that's been put forward by the Republican leadership. Is that getting off on the right foot? Is that the right way to go?
Well, you know, I support the approval and authorization of the Keystone XL pipeline. The president is beholden to interests that aren't aligned with what we need for a growing economy. So I'm absolutely in favor of Keystone. I think it's a good place to start when you have a lot of Democratic co-sponsorship. There's going to be clear support for it in both houses, and then the president's made his threat already to not cooperate on it. But I think the bigger way to think about this is look back 10 or 20 years. From 2004 to 2006, what exactly did the Congress get done that was life-changing and world-shattering? Or from 74 to 76. Any two-year Congress has this presentism, this obsession with the idea that we're going to change the world by legislating on a whole bunch of small things inside these 2 years. I think the better way to ask the question is begin with the end in mind. What are the generational crises we face? We don't have a strategy about the rise of global jihadism in the Middle East and its export of nuclear terror all over the world. What's our long-term border security plan? What do we do to help transform the American workforce to be lifelong learners, because the pace of economic change is going to require that? How do we get our entitlement programs back under control? We ought to be talking about the biggest things, not because we necessarily think we'll get them accomplished legislatively in 2015 or 2015 and 16, but because we had to set the table for a 2016 presidential election to be about bigger things, because we have some really big problems in this country.
Humility in Washington. I don't think it's going to catch on. But we thank you for taking time for us today, Senator. Congratulations. And you, Internet, thank you for taking time for us. And we'll see you back for another installment of Power Play real soon.